this Tuesday edition, there is one surprise, that there is a nation which is our neighbor that promotes, rewards losers, viewers. And how they do it with such alacrity and with such pomp and splendor is something that leaves me gobsmacked, not just as a viewer, as a journalist, but as someone who's looking at a nation which has been pounded, pummeled by its enemy, and you're promoting its army chief to a field marshal, 3-star to 5-star or 4-star to 5-star, that's what you're giving. Ayub Khan back then was the president and appointed himself field marshal. Here, and Asim Munir is being appointed by the cabinet and by the Prime Minister, rank of field marshal. Please note this, he is not from any official military academy. He finished the careers, literally, that's what's reported, of 20 lieutenant generals. He forcibly removed, incarcerated and elected leader, a sitting Prime Minister in Imran Khan. Imran's close aide said that the Pakistan Democracy Act introduced in the US Parliament had recommended sanctions against Asim Munir for visa restrictions and asset freeze. Munir wants to take control of Pakistan before November 2025 to save himself from this bill. Pak Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif remains a puppet in the hands of Munir, who was in the driving seat and who had the steerings of the nation is very clearly seen. This man has been nicknamed the deceiver by his batchmates when he was a major or a junior officer. He was referred to, or he's continuously referred to in the military circles in Pakistan as Chachu Whiskey and erstwhile elsewhere as Mullah Munir. In these military circles, this is reported. He led Dehshatgardi in Vardi in areas like Balochistan, Waziristan, Pakhtunistan, Sindh, POK. ये जो दहशतगर्दी है, इसके पीछे वर्दी है, is a coinage which continues under his leadership in these regions. He tarnished the code of the uniform by equating it with service to religion rather than service to nation. You ask any person who's donned the uniform across the world would say we serve the country, not a particular religion, but this man changed that code. He spewed bigoted political venom and further insulted the uniform. Asim Munir could not prevent the Baloch Liberation Army capturing the Manguchor town in Balochistan. He could do nothing in the Jafar Express hijack when his own personnel were taken hostage. There are visuals of how the Pakistan army was battered at the hands of the BLA during the Jafar Express hijack incident. He saw patronized terror infrastructure demolished under Operation Sindoor. He was moved to a bunker for 2 hours as 11 air bases were pounded, 20% of the entire armed forces infrastructure decimated in less than 25 minutes. He tried to humanize his failure and avoid scrutiny of strategic failures of radar gaps during Operation Sindoor. Bharat strikes exposed Pakistan's weak ammunition. Munir's military stretched thin amid economic unrest. It's a nation that is going around with a begging bowl. 40% of this entire budget of Pakistan is consumed by the defense. He's charged with multiple acts of corruption and looting billions of dollars of Pakistan people's money and pocketing it himself. Bharat's drone warfare exposing Pakistan's defense vulnerabilities. He highlighted civilian casualties to reinforce Pakistan's victimhood narrative globally, according to intel sources, but not one salute or guard of honor to the braves in Pakistani uniform who have been consumed because of his act. Munir scrambling to secure financial aid. He is at the beck and call of Beijing. This J-35 fighters that has come at 50% discount, please be rest assured that he is sacrificing at the altar of his own sustenance the entire sovereignty of Pakistan, declaring it or rendering it a near vassal state at the hands of Beijing and the CCP. There's been an overwhelming response for Asim Munir. That's what many believe, and that's what is being made out to play, but he's caught in his own labyrinth. The simple question is, viewers, does he deserve to be called Field Marshal, or is he actually a failed marshal? Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is with us, Tilak Devasharji is joining us, Major Manik Jolly with us, and we also have with us at the top Ahmad Mustaqan, Baloch activist. My namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to everybody, and trust everybody is well. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, what is this? Can you believe this? This is what the Pakistanis have stooped down to now.
Are you sure this is true, or is it a bad dream that we are seeing? Because there's no reason that even in a cuckoo land this doesn't happen. That you failed and you literally begged for mercy and sought ceasefire from India, and then as a reward you promote a failed general, as you very rightly called him, and make him the field marshal. Whatever for? Unless there is a devious design and Shehbaz Sharif is trying to protect himself from a coup, military coup, by promoting him, kicking him upstairs and getting his own army chief all over again. So nothing can be ruled out in a cuckoo land called Pakistan, but it really is bizarre to say the least, and I hope that Pakistani opinion makers, Pakistani people themselves start wondering as to where and in which direction is Pakistan going. Because Field Marshal is something which Sam Manekshaw deserved. Field Marshal is something which victorious generals in Russia and America deserved for their victory against Hitler. Why is a person of this low caliber being promoted to a field marshal? This is not a good reflection on Pakistan itself.
Sir, you have given cuckoo land dignity by equating it to Pakistan. That's what somebody just responded watching the broadcast. Tilak Devasharji, your thoughts?
You know, I would like to mention two anecdotes. When Ayub Khan became Field Marshal, you know, one of the reasons that motivated Ayub Khan to become, that there was a ceremonial parade of the Punjab regiment. And Lord Auchinleck was the Colonel Commandant of the Punjab regiment. And in the ceremonial parade, he raised his baton in salute. And Ayub Khan from the dais had to give a hand salute. This upset Ayub Khan a lot. That he had to give a hand salute, whereas Auchinleck gave a salute from the baton. So the next day, his ADC went up to Auchinleck and asked to borrow his baton, and had it copied, and Ayub Khan declared himself Field Marshal. Person most upset was Auchinleck, because he said, and I quote, he told Iskandar Mizra, "This rank is only awarded for exceptional services rendered during wartime." He exclaimed, "I earned my rank for my efforts in the Second World War. What battle has Ayub won that he presumes to call himself a Field Marshal?"
Exactly.
Similarly, today, you can very well ask, what battle has, Asim Munir won? He lost. And I think one of the reasons is to cover up the loss. He has appointed himself as Field Marshal, to tell the public that he actually won, and in recognition of the great services rendered by Asim Munir, he has been promoted to the rank of Field Marshal. He doesn't deserve it. He should not have been. It is sullying the rank of the Field Marshal for Asim Munir to have occupied it. And I'm sure there will be a lot of unrest within the Pakistan army and elsewhere, that a man who's lost a battle presumes to call himself Field Marshal.
True. Ahmad Mustaqan, your thoughts? The PTI or the Imran ka Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf is saying there is this Pakistan Democracy Act which may come into play, which is moving around in the US Congress, and that is due somewhere around November 2025. So, and that is actually said recommended sanctions against Asim Munir and visa restrictions and asset freeze. So, if that comes into force, then Asim Munir has trouble. So, if he elevates himself to Field Marshal, he saved that trouble. The other is that Shehbaz Sharif has now tried to save a coup, and saying, okay, Asim Munir, tum field marshal ban jao, I continue to say remain Prime Minister of Pakistan. What's happening? How would you see it as a Baloch, that this man who can't even face the Baloch Liberation Army is declaring himself the field marshal or getting himself declared the field marshal?
That Pakistan, as we believe, is a tragicomedy. It's not a country. It is, I always call it Lord Mountbattenistan. So in Lord Mountbattenistan, the person who was having incest with his sister is called the Qaid-e-Azam. The guy, Jinnah, was having, it's all on the record, was having incest with his sister and he is called Qaid-e-Azam. And this guy, you see, this guy, Asim Munir, he is saying, this parliament is called the Form 47 parliament because it is all rigged elections. Pakistan's elections were massively rigged. And this setup that is in place is Asim Munir's own setup. And he's such a crook that you see, he got this setups go ahead from Washington, D.C. He came to Washington, D.C. on December 15, 2023. His main partner in that crime was Nadim Anjum, the ISI chief. And he has, you see, totally sidelined him, the partner of his enterprise that made him the army chief. This is, you see, this is such a bogus country. Now, you see, Ayub Khan made himself the field marshal on September 6, 1965. He said, with the stroke of a pen, he became the field marshal of
because
the
Ayub
country.
Khan was president at that time. He was president first and then declared himself a field marshal. Here, he's not even...
Yeah, but he made himself field marshal. Yeah. And you see, and now he's saying that it's like in Islam, they say shirk. Shirk is something that you consider yourself Allah, okay? And what is he saying after his fake government that he himself has installed with the blessings of the American CIA? He is saying that he's thanking Allah. He's saying, Allah, thank you for making me, which means he himself has made himself the field marshal and he's calling himself Allah. Because you see, this Shehbaz Sharif is hated by his own brother Nawaz Sharif. Yeah, Nawaz Sharif bitterly hates Shehbaz because Shehbaz is a total yes man of the army, GHQ and ISI. So he's got no standing. You know what that? I'm not sure if you guys know or not. Please don't mistake Pakistan Parliament for India's Parliament. They are two different stories.
No, sir, there is no mistaking there. But the point is that someone, when you don a uniform, irrespective of whichever country you are, when you become a soldier, there is some respect that you accord to that uniform because that uniform carries certain weight. Has he totally decimated all pride that any Pakistani soldier will have in that uniform, Major Manik Jolly? Hello.
I agree. It has traditionally we've known Pakistan. There are some value and ethics that soldiers follow across the world, right? So that is why even if you're traveling abroad, you meet somebody. I'm a soldier too. There's an immediate bonhomie. There's understanding that this is the code by which you live, and this is the code we follow the same. Pakistan Army is an exception on that. What they did in Bangladesh, how they have been training terrorists, everything and all. So Munir behaving like that is not a surprise actually to me. And rather I say, last time somebody declared himself a field marshal, within 4 years, Bangladesh was born. So it's a good signal for Balochistan actually. You know, it's a green light. Go ahead now, take it up. And secondly, I would say that as the Pakistani delegation is China right now, I think this definitely would have had a green signal from them. This is, I agree what Sir said, that this is Shehbaz Sharif saving his seat, but I would say temporarily. He would have been given assurance that fine, we are not doing a coup, we are not taking over. Next 6-8 months you stay on. He will take over. He will become the dictator in some time, and Shehbaz Sharif might be given a nice cozy flat in London or bungalow and you settle down, we'll not trouble you. That is the kind of understanding we've seen between Pakistan military and politicians happening many times. This is how they run the country. So him taking over the country, and this could be a stepping stone to that, is a very plausible,
So the
outcome.
next thing is that there will be again, yes sir, martial law in Pakistan. It's going to happen.
You know, a couple of things strike me as
Ji.
everyone has weighed in. Number one, you know, Shehbaz Sharif himself said that I was swimming when Army Chief General Saab rang me up and he said, I want to declare ceasefire. And I said, please go ahead.
हाँ, मैं bunker में छुपा हूँ और तुम swimming कर रहे हो.
The second thing is that Shehbaz Sharif, as your guest from Balochistan said, has had a reputation of being close to the army. That is part of the Sharif family arrangement. But after the swimming pool incident, followed by this announcement today, raises many questions that it is the Prime Minister who should be deciding what policy Pakistan should make, who it should promote as the next chief, what kind of a discipline it would have in terms of interpersonal relationship within the army. Now, all those have been sent for a 6. Sharif family, Shehbaz Sharif himself seems to have put all his eggs in the Munir basket. Now, as Mr. Jolly has just mentioned, that does this mean that 6 months down the line there will be a martial law and Munir takes over? I think that's a real possibility, because if he is Mr. Deception within the army circle, why should Sharifs feel so secure with him? He's already put Imran Khan in prison, that was his doing. He's already put Sharif as the Prime Minister in a widely called rigged election. What his next move would be could be dangerous for Pakistan, for Pakistanis, and perhaps spells trouble for India.
So Munir travels from Rawalpindi to Islamabad, and Sharif travels again, joins his brother somewhere, perhaps not in the neighborhood, somewhere at a distance in London again. 6 months is what the PTI said that the Pakistan Democracy Act could come into force in the US Congress. That's November 2025. 6 months is what you are saying is what you are giving the Shehbaz Sharif government now before perhaps an Asim Munir takes control and there is martial law in Pakistan. So it's all around in November 2025 and what could happen. In those 6 months, is there another possibility? Let's move on to that here with our guests, because that was going to be the subject matter and lead story on this Tuesday edition. But then we had this tragicomedy called the Field Marshal that's happened. This is what Asim Munir has now resorted to in Balochistan after the strategic failure in Operation Sindoor. Pakistan has intensified its reliance on state-supported militia to crush Baloch dissent. Intelligence sources say Pak Army has upgraded the operational scope of its death squads, such as the Counter-Terrorism and Tehreek-e-Nafaz-e-Aman Balochistan, while distancing itself from direct involvement to maintain plausible deniability and deflect international scrutiny. The model that mirrors Pakistan's past strategy in Jammu and Kashmir is designed to avoid direct army casualties. Punjabi-dominated military and intelligence units, including the Frontier Corps or FC and the Inter-Services Intelligence ISI, are now providing arms and funds to tribal leaders like Shafiq Mengal of the Musalla Defa Tanzim to target alleged BLA. In the aftermath of its military and strategic failures during India's Operation Sindoor, Pakistan has now begun a large-scale crackdown in Balochistan. CNN News 18 has learned from top Baloch sources that internet and electricity services have been shut down in multiple areas, signaling the start of intensified military activity in this entire restive province. But the larger question is, can Pak-annexed Balochistan now become a republic? We'll try and look at the various dynamics and facets. M.R. Mustikar, will start with you. Tilak Devashar, who's author of the Balochistan Conundrum. Your thoughts next, and then we'll circle around, bring it back here into the studio. Yes, M.R. Mustikar, is it possible?
Thank you so much for mentioning Shafiq Mengal, who is the Baloch bin Laden. I have called him Baloch bin Laden. They are trying to, prop up the Al-Shams al-Badr like they did in Bangladesh, in Balochistan, for a long time now. And he has been trying to control the former chief minister of Balochistan, Akhtar Mengal, who has bravely and boldly called out Asim Munir, his jokes, and he told Asim Munir, if you want to teach anything to your children, teach them what happened to the 93,000 soldiers in Bangladesh. First lesson should be that, and then the other lessons. You see, this is Akhtar Mengal have told Asim Munir. In Balochistan, they have been mentally defeated. In every war, there is an aspect of psychology and mental makeup. In over there, they have been totally mentally defeated. The Baloch, they try to, you see, incite people, one tribe against another, which they totally failed. The Baloch are very, very well organized. It doesn't matter if they take out one person or another. The movement is so strong now that it is not possible for the Punjabi jihadi generals to defeat us on our homeland. And I will please request Mother India.
Ji.
Mother India, we are your own sons and daughters. Don't treat us as if we are foreigners. And I am please requesting, I again and again request the billionaires on Alta Mount Road and nearly 1,200 centimillionaires that India has got. Please think of Balochistan as a business opportunity. We are not bringing a begging bowl to you. We are requesting you for your own future generations. Please support us fully. Our leader has requested you to give us the 93,000 guns these cowards surrendered in Dhaka. Can you kindly don't sit over it forever? This is the time. They are mentally defeated in Balochistan totally.
Ji.
Totally. And the Pashtuns don't buy this general's nonsense of two-nation theory. His ideology of hatred, his ideology of hating India, his ideology of hating Hindus. We totally reject that. We are not part of his country. We are not part of his world outlook. We want him to be totally defeated. You see, this war was a technical knockout for Pakistan, but he has projected as if he has won. This is the tragedy there. And he should be, you see, just my prayer is that Rajnath Singh's movie should start very soon. Shri Rajnath Singh has said that it was just a trailer and the movie is going to begin. We are waiting for the movie. Please give us a side hero role in that. Thank you, sir.
Sir, but for that, the Baloch have to be organized. Tilak Devasharji, that's the conundrum, isn't it?
Indeed. One thing I just want to say in response to your previous question.
Ji.
See, the Pakistan army has been carrying out so many operations, one after the other, in Balochistan. They have not been able to break the spirit of the Baloch. And, और क्या करेंगे? As Marang Baloch told somebody, who's the leader of the Baloch Jagdeti committee, he said, और कितना डराओगे? A lady whose husband has been missing for the past 15 years, and she doesn't know that whether he's dead or alive. He said, how will you frighten her anymore? So what has happened in Balochistan now, despite the army operation? Fear, जो दहशत थी पहले, that fear has gone from the minds of the people. And once fear goes, and they are united, I think it's almost next to impossible for the Pakistan army to be able to control Balochistan.
But do you see that happening? Ji.
Yeah, but no, here is the next issue. The next issue is of unity. You see, they are, the freedom fighters are well organized. The Baloch Jagdeti committee is getting stronger. But there has to be unity amongst the people, a common minimum program, a constitution, so all the symbols of unity, all the instruments of unity that can enable a united front and the international community also to start taking notice. If people are speaking in different voices or if there's no voice at all, then it becomes difficult. So my humble request to our Baloch friends and brothers would be that you have to get organized. You have to come up with a common minimum program, a constitutional framework. What kind of a government, what kind of a system will be there in Balochistan? Parliamentary democracy, presidential system, things like that which are there basic to any constitution. So once they start working on that, and I'm sure work is already going on, but that will be, I think, the really crucial next step in which they will be able to look for support from other parts of the world.
M.R. Mustikar, would you want to respond to that before I bring in Ambassador Rajiv Dogra and Major Manik Jolly?
Yes, I will please humbly submit
Ji.
that we have a leader. In fact, we have two leaders. The other day also I pointed out. Dr. Maharang Baloch, she has united the Baloch people and tribes like never before. All the Baloch people consider her as the Joan of Arc of Balochistan. She is widely respected by all the tribes. She is, I call her the de facto Prime Minister of Balochistan. She has been put behind bars illegally by this general with the mindset, you see the kind of mindset. I will please request you, if these Punjabi generals had some sense, they would have begged Mother India for forgiveness. They would have touched Sri Narendra Modi's feet and said, please forgive us for the harm we have done unnecessarily to your country and to your people. They have the closest ties with the people in India, and they are themselves become the worst enemies of India. And they call us, you see, agents of India. We are agents of peace. We are agents of solidarity. We are agents of one human family. These guys are the agents of sometimes America, sometimes Britain, sometimes China. And you see, our victory is ensured.
Right.
If you guys support us, our victory will come a little early. That is all I can request you. So, please don't postpone it.
I think there is a chicken and egg situation here, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, because the Baloch have to make their voice heard. Bharat today does not need anybody else to support Balochistan or the cause. We don't need the West or the Chinese or anybody else's approval. But there has to be enough of force within the Baloch itself to reckon with. A lot of Baloch who moved to the Sindh, Afghanistan region, out of Balochistan need to come back in for this to become bigger. But is this possible, Republic of Balochistan?
Well, it was possible also in 1947. Please recall that Jinnah was the advocate for the Khan of Kalat, and Jinnah insisted that Balochistan or Kalat, which is the largest sheikhdom or kingdom, had to be independent. But when he assumed the position as head of state of Pakistan, he decided to send in the army and said, okay, tear up all what I had said, and you are now subjugated and become a part of Pakistan.
Yeah, but many also say that this was under the pressure of the Brits, because at that time they wanted Balochistan under their control because they knew that to train their guns on the Middle East and to keep a control on that region, they needed Balochistan also under the Pakistani control. That's also documented. And then that shifted towards the Americans where come the 60s and the 70s.
Anand, as you know very well, Brits and Jinnah were one and the same.
Okay.
They conspired together, they acted together. So yes, your surmise is correct. But let me just give a brief background of the brave people of Balochistan. They've had virtually very little help or perhaps no help from outside. They are small in number. This is the smallest populated province in Pakistan, but the largest in geographical size. They are about 7 million or a little more or less. And Pakistan has tried its best to change its demography. They've shifted Punjabis there, but still they've shown a lot of great bravery, including the lady who's become now the leader of the movement.
Baloch,
they have been pulverized by every Pakistani regime, be it Ayub Khan, Bhutto, and thereafter Zia and so on, and now as well, with all kinds of tricks. But Baloch have not given up. And this is remarkable. This is perhaps the only movement in the world which has sustained itself for the last 50, 60 years without external support. Most movements need external support. So that is why your Baloch guest is repeatedly saying the same thing, that be it Iran or someone else, we need support.
So do you agree that if there is Iran, there is Bharat and Afghanistan, if these three nations come together to voice support for the Baloch, can things change? Is that possible?
Well, since I am a private person, I can certainly endorse what you're saying. But the basic thing is, as a general principle, that unless there is physical support, there is material support, there is monetary support, in today's times it is difficult for a movement to become self-supporting. It also requires media support, because unless there is awareness abroad in various countries of the world that here is a people who are being mistreated like a colony is mistreated. Here is a land which contains undiscovered, unexplored wealth of minerals, the minerals that Trump keeps talking about. And here is a land which has been exploited to the maximum by the Punjabis of Pakistan without giving them a penny of the share that they deserve. So it's a story that needs to be told. Unfortunately, that has not been told as yet.
No, time we start telling the story. We are taking the right stand here. But Major Manik Jolly, is that possible? The information warfare. Kabul can start talking about Balochistan. Iran can start talking about Balochistan. Russia can start talking about Balochistan. Bharat can start talking about Balochistan before anything else happens.
And it will make a lot of difference actually. One of the things anybody I talk to about Balochistan is a great idea for them would be to release a map that is actually approved by their all levels. The point is, whenever we get into Balochistan debate, we see multiple maps coming from the multiple leaders. The same unity earlier somebody spoke about, right?
Jay.
The point is, if they want to create something, a first map, the kind of government, what are they aiming for, what support do they need, and also it cannot happen without monetary support, military support, everything. So it is one thing that they are, and all salute to their bravery, they are standing up to a very tyrannical regime and military. But now, since they are bringing the game to the next level, I think some organized effort where people do know that India knows this is what they are planning for, this is we can support with. And same goes for information warfare also. What do we propagate ahead? Same thing, Afghanistan, Iran, India, Russia, all we listed. Good thing. What do we propagate ahead? That material has to come from them. Some guidance would be a good idea.
MR Mustikar? Map, a narrative and clear, concise information where all tribal heads, all leaders who are prominent across the world say the same thing.
See, sir, I will make one point clear here. I am very surprised why India is not calling Balochistan Pakistan occupied Balochistan. Would it cost money? It won't cost a single dime. Why you see these Punjabi jihadis are always, from General Asim Munir to the liberals to the right wing, everyone as if Kashmir is their daddy's land. They are saying Indian occupied Kashmir. You see, whereas we Balochistan are actually occupied by Pakistan. I will request you, please, all of you, the media, the government, the non-profit, everyone, one page. This is Pakistan occupied Balochistan, number one. I will please point out, the first leader in 47 who went to India was like our family member. His name was Gosbaks Bizinjo. He went to India, he met Maulana Abul Kalam Azad, and Maulana Abul Kalam Azad unfortunately said, no sir, please go and make a compromise with Pakistan, because if you are going to create something problem here, then the British will get an excuse to delay the independence of India. That is what exactly happened. So from the day one, you see, we had got a no from India, and that is why we are in this tragic situation.
No, I agree. Let's say all that is water under the bridge, if you may say, or water past the Jhelum or into the Arabian Sea. But in this case, the point is there has to be one unified map. There has to be one unified voice and one unified story that every Baloch or every person who hails from Balochistan draws his or her roots from Balochistan, irrespective of which tribe they are. Can they say the same thing? Because that's when the first sense of an organized grouping of the people of Balochistan will actually come to the fore. That's what Major Manik Jolly has been talking about. Yes, Tilak Devashar ji, final word. Ji.
You know, when you talked about Iran, you must remember that Iran has its own problems with the Baloch in Sistan, Balochistan. And Iran being Shia and the Baloch being Sunni, I don't see any support coming from Iran. You must remember that in 1976-77, the Shah of Iran had given 12 or 15 helicopters to Bhutto and also $100 million to put down the Baloch. So no help is going to be forthcoming from Iran as far as the Baloch are concerned. You're absolutely right, and I've emphasized it so many times. Unity. The other thing about media which was mentioned, I keep saying that one of the things that instead of waiting for governments, all of us have such a strong social media presence. There should be many, many millions of Indians who are amplifying, who are following Baloch handles, amplifying Baloch handles on X, and just repeat what they say. It can create such a resonance the world over for Indians to just do that. It doesn't cost anything, but just support the atrocities, amplify the atrocities which the Baloch are facing on a daily basis.
True. I second that wholly, as long as the message that comes is the same message that comes from every Baloch voice or every person who's from Balochistan. So that is, and then once there is unanimity, then perhaps that can next be amplified at various levels, including at the UN, at Geneva, at The Hague. So there are many places where this needs to be highlighted properly and spoken properly, as there is a conscious understanding of the entire map of Balochistan. What is the actual shape of Balochistan? That also the Baloch people have to say, this is what Balochistan is, this is what was annexed by the Pakistanis, this is our land, and these are the tribes that make up Balochistan, and we are all together. I think that kind of a primer has to come, and that can come only when there is a unity and there is a unified communication projection that happens. Major Mani Jolly. Ji.
Since Sir spoke about the X handle supporting, we do actually support that. The problem is, again, I'll go back to, there are so many multiple level of communication coming through so many channels, it becomes confusing who is the genuine one. I think a great step for them would be, and we have a Baloch leader sitting here, that just create one handle. This is official, verified by all. Please support the content coming from here, and Indians are more than happy to support, because we also get lost in which narrative is to be supported, and we never know as a common Indian, as a citizen, which is actually a ISI run handle. We could be doing counter propaganda. So a good step would be to unify their communication, and then Indians are always there to help.
I think, Mr. Mustika, this message is very clear. One is, what is Balochistan in the sense, in terms of its physical shape? What are the Baloch people believe there is the map of Balochistan that should be represented? Second, which are the tribes from Balochistan? Third, what is the official handle that people should follow, amplify, talk about, and where the videos, where the claims will be authenticated or they'll be true, and who are the visible figureheads or talking people, talking heads, whose point is going to be unanimous and they are going to come and push the same message, perhaps come there as multiple voices saying the same thing. I think these are things which will show that the Baloch are also getting organized. Yes. Yes, Mr. Mustika.
I would like to correct my good friend here. I am not a leader. I am just a two-penny journalist, and I like to have that position. That's better. You see, the thing is, the map of Balochistan is the area which is under Pakistan military occupation right now. We are not going to touch the areas which are in Afghanistan or in Iran. We are focused on the area in which the Pakistan military is conducting the worst kind of Hitlerite brutality.
So that's the map that we are putting out right now. You may say that you are a humble journalist and you'd like to remain that. Sometimes, sir, journalists can perhaps unite many tall leaders and can also help them master the art of communication, singular communication. So you got a key role to play, and let's hope you do that. Mr. Mustika, I'm pushed for time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've just got more news coming through closer home. I'm going to request all our other guests to stay on even as Mr. Mustika takes leave. We'll continue to stay on the Balochistan issue. Closer home, there is a clarification that's come on Amritsar. Now, it's clarified that no AD guns or other AD resource was deployed within the premises of Sri Darbar Sahib Amritsar, the Golden Temple. This has now come from the army, and this is after the head Granthi came out and said that yes, the army did speak with us. We did switch off the lights so that they could track the projectiles better. and protect the entire temple complex better. But there was nothing that was placed inside, and that's a false claim. So did Lieutenant General Sumer actually make a wrong claim? Lieutenant General Sumer Ivan Dikuna, the Director General of Army Air Defence, he had actually done a sit-down conversation with ANI. Now that's where it all started. Yes, Major Manik Jolly, I believe you've got some word from within the ADGPI. Ji.
So the thing is, the same. I'm very glad Army clarified that. And if you look at the podcast, I don't think the DG even said that we placed the gun inside the Golden Temple. See, air defense is a very, it covers the umbrella. We did a lot of discussions on that, right? It covers like umbrella, a vast area in space.
Yeah.
So you need not place the gun on top of the asset you want to protect. The guns were actually a couple of kilometers away. I mean, I don't know exactly where they were. They could easily be kilometer to 15. That's all right. The umbrella of protection goes over the Golden Temple, and it is as good as getting protected from even if you had, but there was no need to. So what I see is that the DG actually did not say that the guns were inside Harmandir Sahib.
The guns were placed to protect Harmandir Sahib.
And I think it's been misquoted and misrepresented in a way that caused all the confusion. And it's really good that the army has come out and clarified that. And I think they should just close the chapter here. We've clarified.
So you're saying that the armies at no point said that we placed the guns inside, but the army said we requested them to cooperate, switch off the lights, and then so that the guns could cover and protect. So that's what, and somewhere that's been misinterpreted. That's army's position. So the Granthi or the people who run Harmandir Sahib and the army now are on the same page.
Yeah, and I don't think there is any need to politicize even this, take it up even next level. Somebody said something, it was misquoted. The Granthis came up and clarified no, guns were not inside. Army came back and said yes, we agree. The guns were all periphery, protecting the Harmandir Sahib and the Golden Temple. And I think that should be the end of it.
So let's just take this, that the army ensured not a single projectile or missile fired by Pakistan landed there. And those within the Harmandir Sahib ensured that without the lights also the langar continues. So the langar was also on. So from both sides there was service that was rendered, and I think we should salute that service. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, would you like to comment on this, or can we move on?
Let's move on, because I think he's clarified it.
The issue is settled. Let's now come to the other aspect where viewers, we're going to request our experts to come and tell us what they think about what's happening around with our polity. While the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge took it a step further by referring to Operation Sindoor as a small war, echoing Pakistan's stance that it was not a war against them and that Bharat suffered more. PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti said that Op Sindoor did not achieve anything except deaths and properties being damaged and homes being destroyed. Let's give peace a chance now. Several local JNK netas like Wahid Para, NCMP Aga Ruhullah questioned the tourism surge in the Union Territory in the run-up to Pahalgam. And they kept saying it is a cultural invasion that was happening. This cannot be allowed to happen this way. And they were somewhere was this dog whistling that was going on. They also did resorted to domicile fear mongering. MLAs from major parties within Jammu and Kashmir stood up on the assembly floor and claimed that over 85,000 domicile certificates have been issued to outsiders, alleging a silent demographic invasion. So all of this was this dog whistling that was done. And are there those who are now, let's say, conflict opportunists who are actually hurting the country and who need to be weeded out? There are those, Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, Tilak Devashar and Major Manik Jolly, who are currently being weeded out as the enemies within. There are about 13 or 14 different spies who have now been arrested or they are now being investigated. But what about these in your face, in the public, within the journalistic fraternity, within the bureaucratic fraternity, within the other fraternities, important fraternities, be it netas, be it others, who are trying to play this 0.5 in the 2.5 war? What about them? What should be done?
Well, Anand, quite frankly, I'm a strong believer in democracy, and so is the Indian tradition. Otherwise, we wouldn't have had Kathawachaks along all major river banks. We wouldn't have had the term argumentative Indian. That is our strength. But there has to be a fine line between our strength and something which verges on anti-nationalism in moments of crisis. I think the voices which are questioning Indian Army or Indian Army's actions or Indian Army's achievements fall in that category. And I feel very sorry that it should be happening at a time like this. Look at the contrast. Pakistan is bluffing, blustering and blundering its way into success, including by promoting a very controversial man as Field Marshal. The entire purpose is to give the impression to the world that we've won. And here we are telling ourselves and everyone around us that no, we have not won. That contrast could not be greater and the effect of it could not be graver. At a time when we are sending out delegations to inform the world that we've done well, here are voices that are saying that we've not done well. That's not fair. That's not fair.
No, but
on
it doesn't
themselves.
stop. It doesn't happen only with the conflict itself. They perennially want a situation where Bharat is in flux, especially starting with Jammu Kashmir. There are those opportunists with Punjab. Then there are those who want to continue to fuel this international narrative. Look at this, Centre cancelling the OCI card of an academic based in the UK, citing her alleged involvement in anti-Bharat activities. Now, she teaches politics and also international relations at the University of Westminster in London and has been critical of alleged rights violations in JNK after the abrogation of Article 370. So the questions that come is, Tilak Devasharji and Major Manik Jolly, did some politicians misuse their position to indulge in a criminal conspiracy? Did some political functionaries establish connect with Pak terror groups? Is it their immediate need to further, and they do this to further their own political clout among the local populace and to try and orchestrate some Vardat here to say, see, if you're not with me, then you're going to get into trouble. So, and is it also a bit to protect their own financial interest to win the trust of the Pak establishment, or can somewhere keep this entire conflict economy going, Tilak Devasharji? Why are these, and what should be done with such people? There are people who believe that such people who are openly there should be tried in military courts, because this is harming national security. It is giving fuel to the enemy. This is also trying to, tear the social fabric and also the psyche of the people of the country. At various levels, it is hurting Bharat. Yes, Tilak Devasharji.
No, you mentioned a very good phrase, conflict opportunists.
Ji.
So like all opportunists, I think they are best ignored. At a time when we are in conflict with our mortal enemy, I don't think so government or anybody should pay any attention to what these guys say. Just ignore them for what they are worth as being purely opportunists. And we should continue to focus on how to counter Pakistan. See, now after the battlefield, the war has become a narrative war. You've seen the dossiers that Pakistan has come out with.
Yeah.
If there's your official dossiers, they're so badly drafted and full of such glaring mistakes that even a section officer in India would do this a much better job than what their so-called ISPR and ISI has done in framing this. But our focus of attention should be on countering Pakistan's narrative of, like false flag operation, warmongering, and they are then in turn quoting Indian media and Indian leaders to bolster their case in the dossier which they are going to give to Bilawal Bhutto when he goes around the world. I think let's keep our focus of attention on that, focus of attention on the narrative war, which is now going to become very significant in the coming days.
But in this narrative war, if there are those who are trying to diffuse the narrative from within and trying to push another one, one can't ignore them. They are doing disservice to the country, Tilak Devasharji. We can't have an ostrich mentality to it, can we? Very respectfully, I ask you this.
No, but why are we giving them oxygen by talking about it? By rebutting them? They want to engage you in a debate. They want you to contradict them. They want you to do things so that they get oxygen. Deny them oxygen. Ignore them. Or get somebody, low level to sort of...
But shouldn't it be considered an act against the state, Ambassador Raj? I know freedom of expression is okay, but not at the cost of national security and the interests of the nation.
That, Anand, is something that the courts will have to decide. You will have to engage in a long, deliberative process. At this moment, I would think, don't waste any expenditure, don't waste any time and capital on dealing with these conflict opportunists. Let them bark.
Okay, Major Manik Jolly and then Ambassador Rajiv.
Yeah, I'll say, Anand, actually, the kind of, by calling it a small war, this they've done earlier also, they try and project it as Modi's war or BJP's war. They don't want to call it nation's war. And I don't know what is small in violence. Is 26 people getting killed by terrorists not big enough for you? Because whatever we did to Pakistan was an outcome of that terror attack. By calling it a small war, you're actually trivializing those 26 deaths. It is a direct outcome of that terror attack. So
no, this is also this, heads I win, tails you lose.
Yeah.
So if you brought the enemy to heel onto their knees in 90 hours, oh, it's such a small deal.
Yeah.
Had it long gone for 90 days, one would have turned around and said, oh, you're just unnecessarily dragging this and you're hurting the country, harming the economy, investments getting hurt. So this is heads I win, tails you lose.
Terrorists?
Classic.
Then they keep going, where are those 4 terrorists?
Where are those 4 terrorists? Yeah.
So it's exactly that. And I think the government should actually take a step ahead. I truly feel that, fine, we have freedom of speech and everybody should be, even if you do not agree, should be able to say what you say. But I think at senior leaders position, government should call them and say, this is anti-national. This is giving fuel to Pakistan's narratives. This is giving content to their media because they keep quoting you. Act responsible, a joint statement, something like that, because you can't really start suing people for whatever they say. It's an endless thing. It's very impractical also. The responsibility and the onus has to come from political leaders themselves, and somebody has to,
No, but this is like trying to work around in the grey areas, and then you continue to flirt around with this and say in the name of democracy one will get away. That's not something. There has to be a limit somewhere, or somewhere a limiter, something which acts as a deterrent. Somebody has to be made an example that the others, stay in their burrows and keep their lips sealed. Master Raji took it up, or is it not possible at all? You got to learn to live with this.
It is possible. I'll give you a recent example where I participated. Unfortunately, some trolls got after our Foreign Secretary, whom I think is one of our finer officers in service. So when I got to know, I went public. I tweeted about it, and I made sure that our associations also put up statements, strong statements, along with other IAS and IPS associations, and it stopped the trolls. So why can't we, as members of public, take up issue with such people? Why should we depend on the government, which has its own limitations because of legal issues? Why can't the public ask questions of people who are questioning our army, who are questioning our success, and put them to account? I think the court of public is more important than the court of legal.
See, people in political field, people who are in academia, people who are in journalism, people who are in places of public influence and policy making, be it bureaucracy, whichever the kind of arm of the bureaucracy, people who are in with any, if they get a free run like this, then years of hard work can be undone with one comment. Imagine, in the 90s, the Hindus were asked to leave Jammu and Kashmir. Today, you're killing 26 Hindus, singling them out and telling them, Hindus beware, don't come into Jammu and Kashmir. And there are netas who are dog whistling. What's been done about them? So what? They can get away with this dog whistling. Tilak Devasarji, please tell me, should we just keep quiet when your people like this getting away with dog whistling? The grand old party and its president is calling this entire conflict in 90 hours. You should be hailing it when they said that we are with the government whenever it comes to protect. And they says it's a small war.
No, I didn't say that don't do anything about it. I'm saying, is this the time? At a time when your Operation Sindoor is still alive, it's still ongoing. You still have to win the narrative war. If the government, loses focus, and starts tackling what these conflict opportunists are saying, and I think Ambassador Dogra's suggestion is very valid. I think the public should also needs to, of course, in the case of the Foreign Secretary, you have the Association of Indian Diplomats, an organization which is already there. But in the case of the other public, I don't think so. We have an organization that can call out conflict opportunists. Perhaps this will be a good time, and maybe he can take a lead and set up an organization. A lot of people will then bombard these conflict opportunists with the kind of nonsense that they are saying.
Right. 10 seconds, I have to wind up.
I'll just say that in military operations, armed forces become a soft target because although IAS, IPS organizations do stand up, we don't have a platform where we defend and say how good this operation was.
Right.
And when the government goes against other leaders, it becomes a political war. In between, I think their platform can be created where armed forces can present their case.
Right.
That this is the scale of operation that we did.
Right. So perhaps they are correcting there, but something needs to be done. Viewers, think about it. What can be done? The panelists here have left it to the public, to the people to do something about it. On that note, we're going to wind up. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you. Namaste.
Co-presented. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Khan back then was the president and appointed himself field marshal. Here, an Asim Munir is being appointed by the cabinet and by the prime minister, rank of field marshal. Please note this. He is not from any official military academy. He finished the careers, literally, that's what's reported, of 20 lieutenant generals. He forcibly removed, incarcerated and elected leader, a sitting prime minister in Imran Khan. Imran's close aide said that the Pakistan Democracy Act introduced in the US Parliament had recommended sanctions against Asim Munir for visa restrictions and asset freeze. Munir wants to take control of Pakistan before November 2025 to save himself from this bill. Pak Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif remains a puppet in the hands of Munir, who was in the driving seat and who had the steerings of the nation is very clearly seen. This man has been nicknamed the deceiver by his batchmates when he was a major or a junior officer. He was referred to, or he's continuously referred to in the military circles in Pakistan as Chachu Whiskey and erstwhile elsewhere as Mullah Munir. In these military circles, this is reported. He led Dehshatgardi in Vardi in areas like Balochistan, Waziristan, Pakhtunistan, Sindh, POK. ये जो दहशतगर्दी है, इसके पीछे वर्दी है, is a coinage which continues under his leadership in these regions. He tarnished the code of the uniform by equating it with service to religion rather than service to nation. You ask any person who's donned the uniform across the world would say we serve the country, not a particular religion, but this man changed that code. He spewed bigoted political venom and further insulted the uniform. Asim Munir could not prevent the Baloch Liberation Army capturing the Manguchor town in Balochistan. He could do nothing in the Jafar Express hijack when his own personnel were taken hostage. There are visuals of how the Pakistan army was battered at the hands of the BLA during the Jafar Express hijack incident. He saw patronized terror infrastructure demolished under Operation Sindoor. He moved or was moved to a bunker for 2 hours as 11 air bases were pounded, 20% of the entire armed forces infrastructure decimated in less than 25 minutes. He tried to humanize his failure and avoid scrutiny of strategic failures of radar gaps during Operation Sindoor. Bharat strikes exposed Pakistan's weak ammunition. Munir's military stretched thin amid economic unrest. It's a nation that is going around with a begging bowl. 40% of this entire budget of Pakistan is consumed by the defense. He's charged with multiple acts of corruption and looting billions of dollars of Pakistan people's money and pocketing it himself. Bharat's drone warfare exposing Pakistan's defense vulnerabilities. He highlighted civilian casualties to reinforce Pakistan's victimhood narrative globally, according to intel sources, but not one salute or guard of honor to the braves in Pakistani uniform who have been consumed because of his act. Munir scrambling to secure financial aid. He is at the beck and call of Beijing. This J-35 fighters that has come at 50% discount please be rest assured that he is sacrificing at the altar of his own sustenance the entire sovereignty of Pakistan, declaring it or rendering it a near vassal state at the hands of Beijing and the CCP. There's been an overwhelming response for Asim Munir. That's what many believe, and that's what is being made out to play, but he's caught in his own labyrinth. The simple question is, viewers, does he deserve to be called Field Marshal, or is he actually a failed marshal? Ambassador Rajiv Dogra is with us, Tilak Devasharji is joining us, Major Manik Jolly with us, and we also have with us at the top Ahmad Mustaqan, Baloch activist. My namaste, Jai Hind, Jai Bharat to everybody, and trust everybody is well. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, what is this? Can you believe this? This is what the Pakistanis have stooped down to now.
Are you sure this is true, or is it a bad dream that we are seeing? Because there's no reason that even in a cuckoo land, this does.
Good evening, you're watching Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. India's Silicon Valley is sinking. And it's not just now, it's not just in these past 2 days of rains. It has been sinking for a while now. Every year when it rains, just for a few hours, Bengaluru is brought down to its knees. And it's the same places around the outer ring road area, either in the Martahalli side or in the Bengaluru side, or this time around further south on Hosur Road, which leads up to Electronic City. Every single year, every single time it rains, and just for a few hours, it is the return of the same problem. The low-lying areas, the lakeside areas, the newly constructed areas of the city face the same inundation problem. This year, it is worse because the government of Siddaramaiah is busy celebrating its second-year anniversary 300 kilometers away in faraway Vijayanagara, even as the capital, Bengaluru, is sinking. There are 3 people who are dead because of wall collapses and because of electrocution. The point is, at a time such as this, when the capital is knee-deep in water,